virtual assistant is like your employee at this point. When you hire a VA, it's not like you buying plug and play website that just gets you leads with all the tasks that you assign to him, and you're not doing anything about it, and you're not getting the result. Again, it's not VA's fault, it's your fault. You're the boss.
Right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's webinar. I have Roman here. Roman, how you doing?
Hi, Mark.
Coach Roman, I like your sign. In case anyone is curious, it's there on the board. I love it.
There you go. Yes,
Very
thank
good.
you. Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on this webinar with you. I would love to share all my knowledge in VA field, in delegating, in automating things as well. So I'm open to hear your questions and find you answers on these questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Roman, where are you located?
I'm in Miami, Florida.
Oh, nice. A little jealous. I'm on the other side of the coast.
Yeah.
Malibu, California.
Well,
we're on
still
two different coasts.
weather.
Yeah, right. Everyone in chat,
Right.
let us know where you're listening from. I would love to know. But yeah, Roman, so tell us a bit about you.
Well, I've been in real estate business for a little over 10 years. I started right after the crash, and it was very different market back then. It was fun.
Right. Yeah.
In some cases not so much.
Mhm.
And at some point, I found this program provided by Tom Ferry, started watching him. That's how most of the clients that I coach these days find him. He's pretty big with marketing, great marketer. I love a lot of things that he's implementing. So I was sold on this program on one of the events, signed up, and then instead of being on that real estate roller coaster where you rich and poor and then rich and poor, I started becoming like an airplane, going up and
Boring.
up and up and boring. Yeah, exactly. And at some point I found that, well, I'm pretty much got everything I can in real estate. So I figured I want to do something that I really like, which is training, coaching others, and see the success that I achieved for myself in someone else's eyes, and set the right mindset for them. And that really gets me the pleasure and satisfaction, if you will, in my life and in my business.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, that's good. And you said you've been in the business for 10 years. At what point did you make the switch?
To coaching, I'm a relatively new coach. This is my second year
Okay.
being a full-time coach. For some time, I tried to implement both businesses, but as you know, working part-time on any business is not a good idea. So I decided to do what I like to do.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. Well, look, I know today we're kind of talking about virtual assistants and kind of, how they, what they do, how they service you in your team, and kind of creating a work-life balance, which seems to be something that a lot of us struggle with, nowadays, especially after COVID, working from home, where home is work and work is home, right?
Right. Yes. And I have plenty of experience myself working with VA. And when I used to sell real estate full time, I had VA provided by Virtudesk. My VA did all the cold calling for me and actually added more value with like a transactional management and setting appointments. It adds a tremendous value on these administrative tasks that you spend time regardless. But when you think how much time you can release back to yourself and use it either for pleasure or for making even more money.
Yeah.
And when I started thinking that I'm doing the tasks that's worth 10, 12 bucks an hour, I asked myself, Roman, do you really want to work for 12 bucks an hour? Really? I mean, that guy in McDonald's making 15 bucks an hour and I'm making 12 setting up appointments for myself. So
Yeah, right.
I started thinking what others delegating streams I can use. So I started thinking about hiring a local assistant, but then it come up with the payroll, with training, and the fact that my assistant can learn the strategies from me and actually get the license and become an agent, because that happened to me too. As soon as they learn a little and they know how to make calls to for sale by owner, getting the license is easy, but it's not a business, it's a sales job, and it's still $12 an hour, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I started exploring other options, and we're good friends with Pavel. He's a great entrepreneur and great friend of mine, and I decided to give him a shot at very early stage when he just created Virtudex back in, I don't know, 16, 17-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it a shot. And as soon as I hired my first VA, I started seeing the return on investment. I started seeing more appointments. Even if I'm working on negotiating a deal, if I'm on the listing appointment, someone else making calls to FISBOs, expires, circle dialing even to my leads that I generated online and getting business in. So when I finished with my appointment, I have a next one to go to.
Yes.
So no one can replace me on the listing appointment, but someone can replace me setting a next appointment or managing an appointment. People cancel, sometimes people want to reschedule, and it takes a lot of effort and actually danger when someone's texting you when you're driving 60 miles an hour on a highway and you need to make the change.
Yes.
It's crazy. I mean, if you look at the danger that causes agents, unless you're driving Tesla, it puts you into danger. Why wouldn't you let someone who's doing it for relatively small amount handle it for you? Makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned Virtudesk. So that's where you go to get your virtual assistants. Fantastic. At what point in time did you know it was time to get a virtual assistant? Was there a breaking point, or did you just know, like, hey, since it happened?
No, nothing happens this way. It all comes from business planning, budgeting, and analyzing your current financial and business situation. I would never advise my client who I coach to hire VA right from the day one. If you don't know how to run the business, why would you teach someone else if you don't know what you don't know what you don't know? You need to learn yourself, learn the scripts, learn the accountability, make sure you know how to replace that time that your virtual assistant would give to you. What are you going to do? Go get yourself a margarita? It's not the best way, because if you're not putting this time back to business, then it's a waste of time.
Right.
It's a waste of money. And if you can find time in your schedule to make these calls and practice and set appointments yourself and move your business forward, if you're in a very beginning stage, then it's too early. But when you go on to the second or third level of your business, when you start thinking strategically, when you 100% executing on your business plan, and you think, well, what if I get 2-3 more appointments a day? Would that double my business? Yes, it will come with the cost of VA.
There you go.
It will double my income. At that point, it's a time for considering help. I also wanted to ask myself, can I first automate some things? And there is plenty of ways of automating bots and technology, but technology cannot replace the human brain.
Sure.
So first step would be automating. And when you execute 100% automation, then delegation is the answer. But that comes with a strategic planning.
Run that by me, the automating, for those who are listening, who are ready to take the next step, but they haven't done the automation stage. What does that look like for you?
Well, automation, it can come from many different angles. Calendly, setting up appointments right inside your email signature, very good way of automation. And instead of taking time from your VA, who can use that time more purposefully,
Sure.
You can just automate it. I'm not a big fan of automation on social media, but there is also options like Hotsuite or later. You can schedule your post instead of hiring VA for it. I mean, I personally do it myself because I enjoy it, but
Yeah.
for some people, it's a way of automating. But what to post, machine not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And the human brain can do the research, find interesting article, come up with edited pictures, and that's what needs to be done by someone who has certain knowledge in this field, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have a question here, but it looks like Miguel, thank you, Miguel, submitted a question here. Do you train your virtual assistants?
Yes, absolutely. Well, virtual assistant is like your employee at this point, and it comes with certain duties and obligations on the employer side as well. So training, teaching the VA all the tools that you use. Don't expect that they're going to know everything in the world. They are willing to learn, and they need to have this human-to-human relationship. I want to bring to your attention that when you hire a VA, it's not like you buying plug and play website that just gets you leads. It's a different thing. It's a human being behind it with strengths and weaknesses, with their fears and their emotions. And let's say if you're upset with your VA and you call him and you yell at him, well, you're responsible for the consequences of it. Or vice versa. If your VA completely falling through with all the tasks that you assign to him and you're not doing anything about it and you're not getting the result, again, it's not VA's fault, it's your fault. You're the boss.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Is it taking that responsibility? Absolutely. I get that for sure. Okay, run us by, for your process, the training process. So let's say you go to VirtuDesk, you get that virtual assistant, you interview a couple, you pick one, and now it's time for day one of training. What does that look like?
Well, it really depends on how you're using your VA. If it's a transactional coordinator or let's say social media marketer, these are two different approaches, obviously, but I would start from very basics. Don't assume that VA knows something, or even if they know certain things, like let's say video editing, you need to train them the way you want this done. Mm-hmm. And this is where I see a lot of conflicts happening, that clients typically assume that VA is supposed to know this or VA is supposed to know that. Well, they might know the basics, but they don't know how you want to do it. So there is some learning curve in hiring a VA. So it's not going to be like day one, boom,
ready to go, setting appointments.
Yeah, first 5 minutes, you've got 5 appointments. No, I would say cool. First week would be dedicated mostly for training, reviewing numbers, reviewing how things going. If you hire a VA for prospecting, then handling objection, role playing, keeping everything on track, making sure that they can handle certain things the way you want it, that they following the guidelines with association, so they're not talking about the prices, they're not acting as a licensed assistant. So that needs to be brought up on the first call, on the first training. And then when time comes in a week or so, it will be as a well-oiled machine that just brings you more and more leads, and you can count on that person to get the stuff done the way you want.
Right. No, that's fantastic. Now you said something in there that I want to touch base on. You mentioned the first week. So is that typically, like in your experience, an ample amount of time to train a VA to get them, at least going? Is a week's time?
I would say training never ends. I mean, sure. I'm a coach, I'm an agent, and I'm still in training, and training happens almost every week. However, yes, it will need some time in order to be in full speed. I wouldn't say that the whole week will be dedicated to training. You train on a certain task, let's say calling for sale by or role play with a VA, and you let VA make these calls. they're going to make mistakes. And I always say it's better be done than perfect. And it's okay for them to make mistakes, because next time they're going to learn the lesson and make calls at the higher volume or the better quality. So
Right.
training would take about a week to get up to speed, but like I said, it's never going to end.
Never ends. Of course, absolutely. Now, and Roman, like, you obviously come from a real estate background for quite some time. You've made some amazing accomplishments. Question for you, whenever we're making calls, sometimes you can get kind of down on yourself if you're getting beat up by calls. I can only imagine some of the VAs, they probably feel the same way if they're getting beat up on calls. How do you motivate your VA whenever they're feeling either down or they're feeling not so pizzazz to their calls? How do you coach them into making them fired up?
Well, I always keep the communication door open, and I always tell them, well, if you feel stuck, if you don't know how to handle objection, or if you feel emotionally burned out, give me a call. We'll figure it out. There's always a way. It's just your vision. It's not the true vision, because the way you see things is not the same way I see things.
Right.
So I always say, let's connect at my next opening, at my next window in my calendar, and solve the problem. What is it? Is this a motivation problem? I'll work on motivation with you. If this is objection handling problem, is this a technical problem? I'll work with you, and being available for VA right when they need you is essential. Like I said, you're a boss. You're in control, and you're responsible for everything what's going on in your business. And your VA is just an employee who's following your lead. If your VA failing, it's not the VA's fault. It's your fault. You're the boss. You're in charge, and you're making the decisions, and you have to face consequences for the decisions you make, either good or bad.
Right. No, absolutely. Now, when you mentioned kind of having an open chat with the VA and talking about feelings and talking about objections, what's the best way of communication with your VA? Do you guys have each other's cell phone numbers? Do you do Zoom calls? What's emails?
The technology is relatively simple and equal to each other. I'm a big fan of Zoom calls, so Zoom call would be just fine. But also, I always share my cell phone with them. I typically ask them to text me first before they call, so I'm not on appointment. Yeah. But yeah, if they text me through any channel, it can be Skype, it can be Google Voice. There's plenty. I mean, they can call me or text me right from my CRM, and nice. That can be that easy. Or send me an email. I mean, I'm obsessed with what I do, so I'm always checking my emails with text. So it's very easy to get a hold of me. And this is how all agents are supposed to be, being available for their clients and being ready to serve all the time around the clock.
Right. No, absolutely. Whenever you decided to hire your VA, was it before you started coaching, or was it after you started coaching? How long have you had a VA? After?
Yeah, I've had VA for quite some time. I can come up with exact timing. I wasn't prepared for that question. I would say a few years.
Okay. Awesome.
Years, until I got into coaching others. That kind of switched my priorities, and at that point, I figured, well, if I'm not marketing myself as a realtor, and I'm transitioning to being full-time coach, then I decided to slow that down.
Right.
But even for coaching, it's also very helpful. Keeping these administrative duties done for 10, 12, 13 bucks an hour releases my time, and I make a lot more than 12 bucks an hour between me and
you. Right. I would assume so. Oh, it's good. No, Roman, whenever you hired your VA or VAs, was there a system in place of like tasks and duties beforehand, or did it kind of develop as you went on?
Well, when I just started, like I said, Pavel just opened this company. I was one of the first clients. So I didn't have at that point the strong vision of how I'm going to do business. But I built that template, if you will, of what needs to be done on what day, what time, when I should get the report, when are we role playing, what's the results of the weekly calls. So I had weekly meetup, I had monthly meetup, and quarterly meetup with my VA to review all the numbers. It's important to have monthly and quarterly meetup as well as weekly meetup, because if you look at the scale of a week, people get sick, people get frustrated, people get upset. But if it's a trend for a month, there is an alert. If it's a trend for a quarter, I would say it's time to change your VA. If you can't handle a VA within 3 months and things going south, maybe you should find another VA, because not everyone's a good fit. It can be just not being a good fit with each other. It might be a great VA for another person, but not a good fit for you. Maybe you just have this miscommunication. Communication is very important with your VA.
Right. You mentioned maybe not possibly being a good fit. Now, I do have a question for you. What is the most important thing, or at least a couple of the most important things that you're looking at when hiring a VA?
Well, I look at social styles, and I'm trying to find strength in VA where I see weaknesses in myself. I'm not trying to find a copy of myself to please myself, because we can be good chatting buddies, but this is a business.
Right.
And I'm not looking for it. Like, if you ask me, I'm a driver, I'm getting things done, I move fast, I talk fast, and I influence people. So I'm looking for a VA more on analytical side, who's going to be paying attention to details, who would be very cautious with numbers, who's not going to make quick assumption, and who would be taking my business to that direction as well. I don't want to have two me in the company. Right. I want to have someone else to do what I can do.
Okay, so like a balancing of the scales.
Right.
In terms of personality. That's awesome. Now, is that something that you kind of figure out in the interview process, or do you use tools like DISC assessments and so on and so forth?
Well, it's my business. I mean, I can figure out personality style within 5 seconds. So I don't need DISC assessment.
Have you already analyzed me?
I will tell you when we'll be offline.
That's so good. That's funny. No, that's really good. That's fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, Roman, this has been really good. I actually just hired my first VA ever. So this has been a wealth of information for me. You know, as an agent and also a coach too.
Right. Wonderful.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things though is trying to like we said, it all develops and it all grows. Having like an outline beforehand of some tasks you want to do, but then I can only imagine it only grows from there, and things get taken off that list and things get added to that list. Like, I'm sure for you, like with your VA or VAs, things have changed since whenever you first started. They first started with you, no?
Absolutely. Well, this is very fast-paced, growing business, real estate. Everything changes literally daily. New technology, new interest rates, prices, people's attitude, people looking at the same thing differently. Yesterday, they were all about buying, and now interest rates went up a little, and they're like, oh, we're in a bubble. So everything changes quickly. My point here is, first, have everything written down and reviewed with your VA, and implement new things slowly. Instead of, all right, forget about everything we discussed yesterday. Here is a new plan. Here's a new plan again. I would say one thing at a time, and old school techniques, they still work. If you find something new technology, new tools, do the research on them yourself. Make sure you master them. at the 10 out of 10 level, and then pass it to your VA if that's necessary. So
Right.
we need to make sure that you know how to do it first. You're the boss. If you don't know how to make candies, you can't open candy manufacturer, right?
Right.
Same thing here.
At least you shouldn't, right?
You shouldn't, yeah.
A couple more questions for you. We have a few more minutes here.
Sure.
So how many VAs, if you can share, do you have right now?
Well, I'm kind of in transitioning right now because I'm not in, like I said, in sales. I have very specific criteria for VA. I've been in this process for quite some time. We've been working back and forth. So it's a process of giving or taking something, because I need a VA who can multitask from video editing to setting up appointments to communicating with my clients to other sources. So I'm trying to find, I'm going from one VA to another. I'm trying to find the one who actually going to serve my needs because they're so unique. However, for agents, it's relatively simple because I know Virtudesk, they have very extensive, very good training for cold calling, for marketing and video editors. They great. It's just if I would either have to hire several VAs, or what I'm trying to accomplish is get one VA who would take care of everything, who's good at video editing and phone calls and,
Right.
and being to the task, plus match my personality. It's not that easy, but I've been working on this project for quite some time, and it's here on my list that I'm planning to accomplish in the next month or so. I mean, in May.
Awesome. So into the next quarter.
Correct.
That's fantastic. Now, do you prefer a VA who's kind of independent, or someone who likes to ask a lot of questions and ask for your feedback and kind of learn that way? Someone who's independent, or someone who's kind of more hand-holding?
Well, it's hard for me to answer because I'm control freak, and I always on the top of the game. So I already asked him a question. Do you have questions?
Yeah.
So it's kind of obvious, but yes, I want to be working tight with my VA, because the better I work, the better result my VA produces. So this is the reason that, why I don't want to wait for him to ask me a question. I want to answer that question before he even thinks about it.
Yeah, right. I'm reading your mind.
Right, exactly. But on certain things, obviously, if we discuss it and we shook hands that, is it clear? Yes, it's clear, and it come up with other problems and other problems. And to me, it looks so obvious. Yes, at that point, if that going on for quite some time, like I said, for a quarter, you explain VA certain things that very clear, and you made it obvious, and VA keep asking you questions and taking time from you back. Well, it's time to replace the VA, because they're different personality, different human beings. Some people like this style. I mean, I personally not so much, but again, I also give them a lot in terms of what I support them with in training, in
Right.
asking them, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
To increase your production.
So, one last question for you.
Sure.
At what point in time do you think it's best to consider hiring an additional VA? Let's say, obviously we're talking about hiring VAs because you need work-life balance. Eventually, though, you may need to hire another VA to take off some of the plate from the first VA.
Sure.
Is there like an identifying factor?
Absolutely. First, your budget. Can you afford it?
Yeah, sure.
If you can afford it, yes. All the rich people, they hiring others, right? Elon Musk, he's not building Teslas himself and SpaceX's. He's hiring people for it. And the more people you hire, the more money you're going to make, and the less time you have to work. Because if it's going to be all about just going on listing presentation, everything else is done by other people, which is actually very achievable goal. I coach many agents who achieve that goal with transactional coordinator, buyer's agent, listing agent, several VAs, like you mentioned, who are gonna take care of their schedule. Personal VA, let's not forget about personal VA. They don't have to necessarily be only for the business tasks. When people grow to that level,
yeah,
hey, set up an appointment for my laundry, for dry cleaning, call and reserve the restaurant, get me coffee in Starbucks. I mean, it all takes time. I mean, if you get to that level, but first, I want us to be clear that you need to grow your business to the point you can afford it, and you spend that time efficiently. Again, not sipping on margarita on the beach, but putting that back in business. If you can manage that, yeah, it's time to hire the first VA, second VA, and more help.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. That's awesome. Roman, it's been an absolute pleasure. And how do we get a hold of you, Roman, for those who are maybe looking to get a hold of you or possibly for a coach?
All right. Well, I'm all over social media. So Instagram account, Coach Roman Ivanov, email rivanov@yourcoach.com. These are the best ways to connect with me. I have YouTube channel for those who are planning to get in coaching, want to learn more. It's also Coach Roman Ivanov. So Coach Roman Ivanov everywhere. If you type that, I'm sure Google gonna offer you a lot of suggestions to find me within any channel, within any platform they have out there.
I just linked it in the chat for everyone. Roman, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really looking forward to doing another one of these, and try not to enjoy the Miami sun too much.
Well, I can't promise you that. I can promise you another interview, but I cannot promise you that I'm not going to enjoy this.
Hey, I'd love it. I'll take it.
All right.
Thank you.
It was pleasure to be on this interview. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.